The series we're talking about is Trial by Fire, which was on the Upahar tragedy, the Upahar cinema tragedy. And you're looking fantastic.
Thank you.
You know,
even with the mustache and the glasses?
Yes, the second time, right? But mustache, I remember you from Shanghai. Shanghai, where
and
you
Manorama.
And Manorama, 6 Feet Under. Shanghai, you know, there is a podcast, I will tell you about it. Just listened to it like a few days back. And I wish I'd remembered the names of these two women. They make great conversations on movies. And they had a full section, a full episode on Abhay Deol movies.
Oh.
And they said that there is a certain way Abhay Deol walks, all right? And he walks like that in every movie. The one movie he's changed his walk was as Krishnan in Shanghai. Is that true?
Well, I mean, there are physical characteristics that I suppose you don't change easily because you're unaware of them. With Shanghai, that may be true because, not that I consciously worked on my walk, but I did have to work on my accent. He's a Tamil Brahmin, South Indian,
Right.
and I had to put on my Hindi like a Tamilian would speak, which is hard to find because no Tamilian really speaks Hindi. They speak to you in English. And we don't have an infrastructure of accent training for actors and stuff like that in our country, really. We got this out-of-work Tamilian writer who I worked with and found a system. So maybe in that process, a lot changed that I was unaware of. It's possible.
Right. And you were playing Krishnan there, and you are Krishnamoorthy, if I'm not mistaken, in Trial by Fire also.
But the difference with these two characters is Krishnamoorthy is born and raised in Delhi.
Okay.
You know,
that changes everything.
Yeah, well, the way he speaks. He sounds like you and I.
Right.
Whereas Krishnan hasn't grown up in this specific urban environment, grew up in South India, would not speak Hindi, you know. So that is a difference between.
So then you're like as good as any other Delhi guy in the show,
He's
right?
a regular Delhi guy, actually.
Like say the guy from Oi Lucky Lucky Oi.
Yeah, I mean,
Not
of
really.
course, just that Lucky would be lower middle class and Krishnan would be middle class.
So that's like a Dibakar Banerjee film we mentioned, Shanghai, and went to.
Yeah, actually, they're both the Dibakar Banerjee films, correct. Yeah, so like there would be the class difference, obviously, you know, but other than that, nothing really.
You know, my memory of Oi Lucky Lucky Oi actually, of course, great film and, you know, stands the test of time and people still love it. My memory of that is actually not so much the film, and of course that remains, is when it came out, You know, it came out right when 26/11 was on.
Wednesday, the 26/11 started on Wednesday, we were coming out on Friday, yeah.
What was that like?
Well, look, people were getting killed. So for me, my focus was on that fact. So then I couldn't indulge in the fact that my film will be affected when there's people dying. So like.
But could you have like held back the release?
They were too, I mean, it was UTV, and honestly, look, it's Wednesday, and the studio has to decide between Wednesday and Friday whether to delay release or not. They decided to go ahead with it. So you have to respect that decision because it's a hard place to be. And so obviously, we were being warned not to go into public places because the firing happened, the shooting was going on till Friday.
Right.
So it's like the day of release, it was still firing going on. So no one went to the cinemas that weekend, obviously. But it lasted a long time, and that was its mark of success, the reviews and the fact that it didn't come off the cinema, so people slowly started trickling in, and they would go watch this movie in particular. But yes, for sure it affected the success of the movie.
Did you have to work really hard for that particular role as compared to the others, or was it not your toughest role? Do you have a toughest role, by the way?
Trial by Fire was tough in the fact that it's a true story, so someone went through this, and so it was hard to digest that. Because it was important for my director. It's like, he said, just play. We're taking the fact that the kids died, that the cinema burnt down, that they fought, they're an inspiring story. But obviously, it's a cinemas, right? So there's going to be some things that have to be added for narrative's sake, you know. So I don't want you to copy their mannerisms. It's based on their life. You know, like for simple, like superficial things, like they're having a drink. The wife doesn't actually drink.
Right.
But it works effectively in a scene, you know. There's this whole birthday cake incident, which is placed much differently than it actually happened in real life. Because you know how it is when you're making a movie or a show, those things add to the value of the drama in there. So he was like, I want you to make it your own. So it's tough because of how tragic this was and the fact that it's true. Shanghai was tough because, like I said, there's no infrastructure for accent training for actors, and most Tamilians speak in English. So how do you make a Hindi Tamilian accent?
And besides, hire a person.
I mean, so
just
I
to
would
hang around with you.
So I started. I don't remember it now. Just went through because I believe that the way we learn the letter, the alphabet, is the way we speak. So I'll give you an example. Both Hindi and Spanish are phonetic languages. You read them exactly the way you write them.
Right.
So, like for example, the Spaniards say A, B, C, D, Che, A, B, C, D. So the A is always A. They'll call me Abhay. They won't call me Abhay because is A, B, C, D, Che, A. E is A. So you know what I'm trying to say?
I know what you mean, yeah.
So I try to get into the Tamil alphabet like that to see if it is also phonetic. Not that I'm going to start reading Tamil, but I want to know how the K sound is or the A sound is and this, that and the other. I was just making it up. I would have him read my dialogues and then I would then try and mimic him. Obviously I can't mime while I'm acting, but I could when I'm off camera. Like for example, there is no her in Tamil. So, and there's no B. So that I remember him telling me this. I hope I haven't mixed it up, the memory. So he says most likely someone from Tamil will call you Appai. They tend to go P instead of B and there's no H there. So stuff like that was insightful. And I'm like, okay, so then I know that when I'm reading my dialogue, whether it's a B or an H, those are specific consonant sounds that they change. So just like
so
that.
like speaking of Mr. Krishnamoorthy, right? And that's a person who exists, who's been through all those things that you go through as the character in the series. Have there been other instances where they've been real life people and you're sort of playing them?
There's Bunty Chor.
Right.
And we couldn't sit and chat with him because of the kind of nature he is. I mean, this one we couldn't also really consult Shekhar and Neelam because of, look, you're not going to relive that. It's a tough one to relive.
Yeah.
So it's very awkward to put a person in that position. With Bunty Chor, he was just all over the place. There was no way to get in touch with him.
He was obviously not incarcerated. He was obviously not imprisoned, right? I mean, he was around somewhere. You'd have to find him.
You'd have to find him.
Yeah.
So there's been some interesting characters I've had to play the rest of the
I mean, I remember seeing like a BTS video of Oi Lucky where, you're jumping over a gate and Dibakar says, show your face. Because I want the audience to know you actually jumped that gate. So you were trying to be Bunty as much as you possibly can, right?
I mean, it's fun doing stunts as much as I can. I will. I think Dibakar was a bit surprised as to how easily I was scaling. It's got a large gate. I was like, it's okay. It's not that hard. And that's when he said, okay, I want people to see this.
Right.
I was like, sure. I think that's when the dog grabs me or something. I don't remember. There's one where I know I'm climbing and the dog grabs me.
It's there in the BTS in case anybody wants to watch this.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.